let's talk about fairy rings. Now, I'm sure most of you are at least passingly familiar with fairy rings, this little circle of mushrooms that can be found on lawns or in forests or fields or wherever have you. There's also a whole lot of folklore and stories around fairy rings, such as if you step in one, you will be transported to the fairy realm, among a few others, but a lot of people don't know how exactly they are formed. Now, what's interesting about fairy rings is that all of these mushrooms typically tend to be one singular organism, not each mushroom individually being an organism, but all of them connected to the same larger mycelium network. Mushrooms are the fruiting body of fungus. Most of the mushroom organism itself is far below the surface, and the mushroom is just what produces and releases spores for fungal reproduction. And that is no different with fairy ring mushrooms. Now, initially it starts as a spore which grows into a mycelium network. It grows beneath the ground, taking up and using all of the nutrients. Then, in the spring, it sprouts up out of the ground, forming mushrooms to release spores, and repeat the cycle all over again. Now, it usually starts as just a cluster of mushrooms right in the center, around where the spore lands. But each successive year, the mycelium network uses more and more nutrients, so the network has to spread out. As the nutrients in the center are depleted, it grows larger and larger and larger each year, producing a ring of fruiting bodies around the central mycelium network. This produces the fairy ring because, again, the nutrients in the center are depleted, so as it travels further and further, the ends of the mycelium network produce the mushrooms which exhibit on the outer ring of the mycelium network. So this up here in the center, this still is in the fairy ring. There are still the mycelium network in the center of that. However, it doesn't look like it because it's only visually seen around the outside where the actual fruiting bodies grow. And this happens each successive year, again and again and again, until the fairy ring grows so big that you can't even really tell that it's a ring anymore. It just looks like either individual mushrooms scattered around or maybe a line of mushrooms, but it doesn't have that distinctive ring shape because the mycelium network is so large that you can't actually see the entirety of the circle. So bear that in mind. Whenever you step over a clump or line of mushrooms, you may be stepping into or out of a fairy ring without even knowing it.